Thank you. We have Chris Clark and Jared Ransom with us tonight. So Holly, if you'd call the roll, please.
Chairman Mayhood.
Here.
Mr. Craig.
Here.
Ms. Nestor. Mr. Grote. Mr. Ruthie.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
He's excused. He's in Alabama.
Okay, and Vice Chairman Gumsby.
Here.
Thank you. Stand and salute the flag with us, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay,
Who's the second gentleman? Jared.
Jared Ransom is here.
I got Chris.
We'll get to him in a moment, in a few minutes. We have on the agenda a public hearing, but we will open that when we get to the review of the application. So privilege of the floor. Is there anything anyone would like to address the board on that's not on the agenda? Okay. We will go through the approval of the March 25th minutes. Any corrections? I have some. Where are they? I had two corrections. Okay. On the second page, the fourth line down after the vote, it says the quality that describes a project quality lawn care proposes to annex. That's not annex, they're transferring. The quality lawn care split off a portion and it's being annexed to the neighbor. So quality lawn care is transferring 1.282 acres. Just change the word annex to transfer.
Okay. Got it.
And then down in the final approval, the last line of the description says maps. Maps were submitted. That should be maps be submitted. We approved it on the condition that maps be submitted with the changes, not were. Anything else? Okay, have a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Caitlin. Second. Thank Birch. All in favor? I oppose. Okay. Thank you. Back to the agenda, wherever that is.
It was attached to your minutes.
Oh, it was attached. Thank you. We have a couple meeting summaries to go through before we get to your applications. Town board meeting. I'm a little disorganized. I apologize for that. There it is. Okay. So the town board met on April 8th. Not a whole lot going on. Highway department is normal things this time of the year, cleaning out culverts, doing a little bit of tree work where they're able to. Up on Lawrence Hill Road. They thought this was interesting. They bought dash cameras for their 10-wheeler trucks. I asked them why they need a dash camera, but apparently they have issues around snow plowing. People interfere with the snow plows and other things go on. And it's for the safety and just to document. They had an incident over here where someone
You ask them which way the cameras are pointing at, they're pointing at the drive.
I assume they're pointing at the highway, but I did question. I said, why do you need dash cameras? And that's why. And I guess I understand for operator safety as well as to document some of these incidents that go on around town. I didn't know these things happen, but they do. The old Ford F-550 truck was going to auction. The dumping problem down on Cratsley Hill Road. The town recovered $1,200 for the cleanup that the town did for that, so kind of reimbursed that. The trucker who dumped it was arrested and fined by the DEC. Ticketed, not fined, but I don't know the outcome of that. Other than that, Honeoye Lake watershed, they reported that the lake is about 1.5 feet above normal level. And they were imposing a no wake zone on the lake till that drops down. Updating the hardware, computer hardware for town employees here. Setting a public hearing on a septic placement variance for South Old Bald Hill at their May meeting. That was pretty much all I wrote down. Any questions? Okay. County Planning Board, Steve?
Good. We had our meeting April 10th. I attended that. It's got a few local things here, just a FYI.
Your microphone on?
Yep.
Okay, good guy.
Yeah, remembered.
All right.
There's hope yet.
No
There's
one's
hope.
sitting in, but
Yeah.
we're recording it.
There's hope. Town of Richmond, there was a use variance presented. That was to allow for live music outside the Marina and Brewery on East Lake Road. They previously submitted a referral back in October 2021 for the same thing, but the town never acted on it. So they resubmitted it for whatever reason. Didn't provide any, basically the necessary documentation to support this use variance request. And so that was sent back with a recommendation of denial. Then
That's
we
the one
had,
over here in Richmond.
yeah,
Oh,
on that marina there on just the other side of the lake, just down. What's it called? Oh,
It's the,
okay. And then just another local down the town of Richmond, an area variance, where they have the difference, the storage units there at the, kind of at the corner of 20A and County Road 36. They want to build 4 more, but they wanted a area variance for a 0 foot. So front setback and 60 is required. So
0-foot setback, so they can pull them right on the road.
I speak to that.
yeah,
So that's down in like Briarcliff Square where the old Briarcliff restaurant was. And the front setback is on, it's not like it's on Main Street or County Road 36. It's down in the back there where everything's already. on the-
Okay, behind
already on
the
the-
pizzeria.
Yeah, it's already on the 0 setback as is.
Okay,
And,
all right, just curious
Yeah,
how they're gonna
they'd come
build
through,
a 0
yeah.
setback.
Yeah, no, and actually.
There's zero.
Last week.
Get past the Richmond, okay.
Yes. And if the Twisted Rail. If you go back to October, they withdrew their application and then put it back in again. So that's why it's.
yeah, it was several years.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah, thanks, Sherry.
Jared.
And then 76. 76 Town of Victor. They put in a referral to impose a 6-month moratorium on their large scale commercial type solar energy systems. If you recall, they had one proposal last month right in Fishers there for one. And then they've got another one that someone's expressed an interest in. They've just referred it to the town, an area variance for the moment. Again, it's kind of in limbo with what the town will do with this, their 6-month moratorium, but other than that, Victor really hasn't had many large-scale solar projects, but apparently they felt the need to go back and look at their recs there and make sure all their i's are dotted. And last one here, again, just as an FYI. 82, another one from the town of Richmond. If you recall back, August of 23, they put in a referral for a special use permit for the corner here, 28 and County Road 37, for that car boat wash project with a 2,200 square foot commercial building. Well, then that was resubmitted this month as a site plan. They're going to go ahead with the car wash, but gotta hold off on the commercial use space until they identify a need and who might be interested in that. I think it's gonna be a 3-bay self-serve community.
So you guys passed it or did you kick it back?
No, it was a class 1, so it's
Oh,
not,
okay,
yeah, it just goes back. All the class 1s are just go back with a referral at accept the comments that were addressed. And they're not sent back with a recommendation of denial or approval. Only the class 2s are, because the class 2s are deemed to have impact with the county.
Mhm.
And
okay, thank you. Is that it? Is that it?
yeah, yes, sir.
Questions for? Thanks, Steve. We put an ad up on the website and Ontario County Planning is going to put a notice in a couple of the local newspapers looking for county planning board members needed for several, or representatives needed for several towns, and they're going to include Canadice.
Oh,
Because we haven't had anybody step to volunteer to take
Yeah.
it full time yet, so
yeah, because I've only got 3 more.
you're till June, right?
July.
July? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Again, he's retiring as our rep to the county planning board. Meets once a month, takes about a 2 or 3 hour meeting once a month over in Canandaigua, if anybody is interested in filling that. You do get paid for every meeting that you attend, $45, the same thing as we get here. All right, thanks, Steve. Zoning board, they didn't have any video, so I assume they didn't meet this month. Code enforcement, we included the report from CEO. Got any questions on that? You can refer to Joe Miller or contact Joe Miller or Rich. Comprehensive plan, anything you want to share with us?
Nothing major to report. We're still working on getting the survey updated. Birch is working on some of the mailing stuff that's gonna go out. And then we're still just sort of waiting to see how this .gov.org thing shakes out.
Good, thank you. Any questions for Caitlin, Comprehensive Plan Group? All right. Okay, given that we're coming up, I listed on the agenda, nothing for old business, but in the meantime, something did come up, so we're going to talk about that right now. Steve Grohl, you want to pass these out, please? You want to pass these out? Yeah. There's 2 pages, 1 to each person, okay?
Okay.
In November, Mr. Cicchetti came, and I believe Jared was here at the same meeting. And they had a 3-lot subdivision up on Canadice Hill Road, right across, right where Ross Road joins County Road 30, or Canadice Hill Road is on the east side. And I'm passing out for you the map that was submitted and was approved. And then Jared submitted the final survey as he was required to do. But when I looked at it, and I just gave you an excerpt of the large map. I have the large map here. But this is the north lot of 3. There's the north and this in the middle, and then there's a 3rd lot here. And when I looked at this, I saw that there's a driveway noted here between the north and middle, and it crosses the lot line. And that was not approved by the board, and I personally don't think it should be approved. I don't think it's a good situation to have anything going over a property line. And it may be fine, Mr. Chisetti says, well, it's gonna belong to my daughter. Well, that's okay. What about the next owners and the next owners? So I told him I would bring it back to the planning board because we did not approve it. So our options are, they don't seem willing to modify it. Mr. Chisetti's kind of dug his heels in apparently.
Well, I don't know about that, but I went up and took some pictures I can show you. It's not really, okay, I labeled it as a driveway. I was able to drive down it, but it's not really improved. It's basically an opening or a path through the woods. There's no gravel on it. It's just, he calls it an ATV trail cut through the woods.
A culvert?
There is a culvert for the drive entrance. The drive entrance is entirely on the northern property.
Yep.
But the driveway goes, or trail, however you want to refer to it, and there's, like I said, there's no gravel, it's just basically a dirt path through the woods. Does cut across the property line, and it's evident when you get back there, cause there was a point set on line near the driveway. But again, it's not improved, you know, that's where they cut a trail. And at one point it was logged, so I don't know if it was, you know, the logging trail or what it was, but that's how they access tree stands in the pond that are back there.
Mhm. And I understand that, and I understand the concept of having a trail, but having a defined driveway on a survey map is more official. It's not, to me, that doesn't describe the way you've described it. So I mean, I would question if
Well, like I
if
said, I
it
can
should
show
be.
you the picture.
No, I don't, I hear what you're saying, and so I'm bringing it back to the board because it wasn't on the original, and what we passed out was the original, you know, and that's the northernmost, you know, well, that's what we approved, and it didn't show on the original, on any of the old maps that Mr. Chichetti had given us. So I'm putting it out to the board that I personally would not approve this. But I'm willing to hear the board's input on this.
Why not?
I think it leads to problems with ownership in the future.
Yeah, but wouldn't that be more, it would have to be a deeded right of way.
Well, if it was a deeded right of way, that would be different,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
but I mean, the fact that it's not deeded doesn't give anyone a right.
Yeah, mind not seeing a picture of it. I mean, this is what you see from the road.
Oh, I know, because I know what it looks like from the road. It's fully on
So
that,
just-
fully on the northernmost property.
All
yeah.
through the woods is what you see.
Yeah, but it's
So-
so, if, at that point, it's only on parcel A, right?
Where it goes in, yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
it
that's
cuts
the
from the
little-
road. I've
There's
seen,
no
Road cut right here.
dispute
Hmm?
there. where
I-
it
And then
It looks like a
crosses.
driveway.
yeah,
Right, I mean, it does look like a driveway, but if you, hang on, we jump the other way. I took a
Well-
minute-long video walking down through there, it's just all grass and dirt.
Is it that one at the intersection, Ross Road at the,
Yeah.
on the east side, yep, and the
They've been-
driveway starts
Yeah.
on the
they've been
northernmost.
using that for years with their ATVs just to go down.
And I
hunting.
understand all of that, but I'm just trying to avoid a potential problem here
What would be the problem?
of someone owning this land, this northernmost property, and having somebody own this middle one and want to do some improvements or access across this property,
Right, but they would need,
across the northern
Right.
property into
They
the
would
middle
need-
property.
they would need a deed right away to be able to do that.
I don't know, is that true?
Yeah,
Did you?
I mean, just the fact that it's on a map doesn't give you the right to drive down. You could have, quote, road cross a property line,
Right,
but unless you have a deeded right of way,
when Wayne does the conveyance, he could convey an easement to the driveway.
If he
to-
wanted to,
If
but
he
he
wanted
doesn't
to,
have to.
yes. No, and he would, well, in this case, he plans on conveying the northernmost property first, so he would have to reserve the driveway for himself, is what it amounts to.
Yeah.
And yes, it could be done.
If it could all be handled by deed,
Yeah, that can be handled by deed.
but the fact that the property B does not have, would have to have a deeded right of way in order to use that driveway entrance.
Yeah, well,
Legal.
Well, that's my question. Would it?
Just the
or-
fact that it exists doesn't mean anything.
no, he could reserve the right to use that driveway to himself when he conveys the northerly parcel
Okay, by deed,
by deed. Yes,
okay.
If he wants to.
yes, or he could potentially, put in a new driveway.
Yeah, just, what if you just straighten the driveway out so it's all on one property
Well,
line?
That would be up, this is the way that this is the way the trail exists. What the owner wants to do with it in the long run, I can't speak. to.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I can get him on the phone, but other than that, and I suppose we could potentially move this line either north or south.
But I-
That's gonna be up to Wayne.
I don't think it makes a difference to us
Okay,
about the future, myself,
Okay,
because that's a legal,
if it's a legal.
it's a legal
written into a
issue
deed,
that goes with your property. So
Yeah.
I own two different properties. One I have a deeded right of way that was given in 1955 to use a share
Okay.
a driveway or
Okay,
pass over. And then our property up here, I have a deeded, there's a deeded right of way for a woman to access a parcel behind
Okay.
us.
and
So
that's kind of the
that's-
root of my concern. What
Right.
if the owner of this third property wants to use that
in other words,
to access
parcel
his
B,
property
Par-
back here, and this person doesn't want him to?
then he can't do it.
Right.
And I just, I had a situation like this when we sold our old home on Candice Lake Road, where actually, it became a legal issue because the people next door were using part of our property, which we didn't realize, to park on. And so we had to, with a lawyer, because it was a problem for us to sell, and that's what you're saying, and it was a problem for us to sell. We had to have some legal agreement, and we were fine with them using it, but they couldn't repair it. They couldn't continue to maintain it.
Right.
When it went into disrepair, it then just became ours again, but it was a legal issue for selling it.
Okay,
But I don't know if that's a planning board issue or
Okay,
if that's a future issue for the
certainly the
people.
legal issue would
Yeah.
overtake any of our
Yeah.
concerns. I guess hearing that, I guess I would soften on that if it could be a
Yeah, it's
deeded access to this property.
if they want. I mean, it doesn't, it's
Well,
up
yeah,
to the
there's-
property owners. But
Changeable.
just the fact that a driveway shows up on a map doesn't give. you
Doesn't give them the
to
right
Use
to,
it.
okay.
And again, I'd have to say, in my opinion, it's not a driveway, it's a path to gain access to their hunting stands, and that's all they've used it for. I've driven by that for over 30 years, and it hasn't changed. I see the little four-wheel tracks go in, four-wheel tracks, and the only time you see the four-wheel tracks is like October and November.
Hunting season, huh?
Yeah,
But they
it's,
have, the fact they have a culvert there, it's a driveway.
Right,
Gives
And
access to the property.
And I'm fine with that.
but
so.
yeah, you might call it maybe just a parking access off the road for the culvert, but
What the consensus is, leave it the way it is.
yeah.
Well,
I
Approve it as it is.
Yeah.
so
Prove it as it is.
Assign the,
also, I think it's similar to, remember we had the lakefront property and there were two houses on one lot and we divided it.
yes.
And the water service went across the lot
Mhm,
and we put a new lot line right down the water service.
right.
So I don't see how this is really any different than that.
Well, the water service is a permanent, that's. Both houses, I mean, you have to have access to water. The driveway is,
And that ended up being written into the deed also. Or it was supposed to be,
Because-
we never got verification because we only
Yeah.
approved the subdivision.
Yeah.
Yeah,
was that Sweet Pea Lane?
yeah. Can't think of the fellow's name,
It was Jim Grassley.
Jim
I did
Cratsley,
that one.
yep. Oh, you did that one too for us, for him?
So I think this is sort of similar. If we were okay with that, like this
Okay.
seems
Leave it as it is.
consensus is that I can stamp it as
Yeah.
approved?
I would concur though, Ted, if in fact it was a real driveway, conceivably, you might want a little verbiage to
But it still
accommodate that,
doesn't,
but it's just a,
it doesn't matter for us. It would happen, it matters for the owner and
the new ones,
So it's really even writing
Yeah.
something into the deed is up to Mr. Chichetti. if he
Correct.
Wants to,
Yeah,
Yeah,
or whoever gets the deed of
Yeah.
the land.
yeah,
Okay,
and in practical terms, parcel A is gonna put in their own driveway.
well, if they build, I
Yeah,
mean, they
Oh,
said they
right.
didn't have any plans of building right now, but.
right.
So the consensus is to accept the final map that is prepared by Mr. Ransom.
I'll go along with that.
Let's just take a vote. Let's make a motion.
Mhm.
Authorizing,
I'll make a
you know, that we accept the map,
as presented.
dated 4/11/24.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second? Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I only have one. I don't know if you brought the others.
I did not, I still need to make the Mylar,
Yeah, whenever you get them, leave a phone message or an email and
Okay.
or you can bring them down. I'm
I'll
gonna
bring
be,
them up here, I've got another project down the hill. So when I get them printed out in the next couple of days, I'll get them up.
okay, and I can look them over and stamp and sign them and leave them up
So
here.
you're good with the driveway as
We are
is?
good with it as you submitted.
I just have one more question I
Oh.
just thought of. So we do require easements to be shown. There is no current easement existing. Do you know it, are they planning to do an easement
For what?
for access? Does parcel B Chichetti want access to this driveway? Are they, when they deed that over, are they going to?
I don't know that that's in his mind. I mean, when I talk to him, I can let him know that, you know, you're recommending an easement.
I don't think we're
No,
making any
No,
recommendation.
no, because
We
he
were-
can
I'm just-
access.
It doesn't
he can
exist.
Access the.
It doesn't exist now, so it
Oh, we don't
doesn't
have to.
matter.
Right,
Okay.
Like I
it's not
said,
complicated.
he's keeping it in the family, transferring it to his daughter and son-in-law. So right now, in his mind, it's not an issue.
But if there was an easement that did exist on a property, you would,
If there was an existing easement, yes, I
you
would
would
show
pick
it.
that up in the title.
If I had a title, if I had an
Right.
abstract and did not have an abstract for this project.
Okay,
So there's a note below my references that say the parcel subject to any easements or facts that an abstract of title may show. And it's strictly up to the property owner to provide that abstract.
right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks. Jared. Okay, with that, we're going to the new business, and this is, we're going to, open a review of the subdivision application. Cheat sheet up here, okay. We're going to review an application for subdivision for Chris Clark, properties at 6932 County Road 37. The first thing we're going to do is by motion, we're going to open a public hearing. Motion,
So move.
Dwight, second.
Second,
Caitlin, all in favor of opening the hearing?
I,
Okay. Next thing is we're going to, by motion, open the preliminary review of this application.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, second, Caroline, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so, this is Chris Clark. He's the owner of the two properties. After I put this together, I realized maybe that map was not too explanatory. So what I
was
put
a
on your
little
table in
confused.
front of you,
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
yeah, what I put on the table,
But that's okay, Ted.
what I put on the table in front of you is a very simplified diagram, okay? And if you look at this, this is north, obviously. This narrow black line is the current northern property line, okay? And this is one property, and then this narrow, long rectangular is a I can give you one of these. Long rectangular is a second property. So Chris owns both of them. And if you notice, on this map or the other one, there's a building, there's a house down here. And it's across the property line on the southern property. So nobody wants that, okay? The previous owners owned both properties, so there's never an issue. Chris wants to develop and turn the properties over, and he doesn't want this situation. So this is the simplified map, okay? So he's simply he's creating two non-conforming lots. The area, there wasn't even an area listed on the southern lot, but it's a small, and the area of the northern lot was 3 acres, so it was conforming. It's no longer conforming after the subdivision. He applied for a variance from the zoning board of appeals and received that. I have a letter from Joe Miller, the CEO, stating that the variance to create the two non-conforming lots was approved.
Is it only an area variance?
Yes,
That was the only non.
it was the only non-conforming was area.
I just wanted to point something out on
Yep.
the application itself. I think there's a wrong address on the location of site.
Yeah, didn't I correct that? I correct, it's
It should be
6932
To
is
69.
the larger of the two.
And that should
And
be
then the second one is
69.
6944. I'm sorry, I thought I corrected that.
Yeah, it says 60,
I
40.
did on yours.
Did on mine.
I did.
Oh, I don't have.
Sorry,
that.
Caroline.
Okay.
Yep, so that's second.
You have been on long enough to.
Oh, that's a-
But you passed the test.
Because I was confused by that. I was like, wow, that's a lot.
So, so the map that I put in with the handout to you is very busy because it was an old map and it had all kinds of stuff on it.
Yeah.
Okay, and after I was looking at it, I wasn't sure it was explanatory at all. But basically on this map, if you look at the red hash mark, that's the lower property. The rest is the existing property, and then showing the new properties, the green is a small lot and the yellow is a larger lot. Part of the reason he did it this way is also to keep the pond on one lot. He initially wanted to separate the pond, and we didn't want that, so he's had to move that line up to the north. So he received the variance from the zoning board. His plan is to refurbish the two existing homes and then sell the properties. So that's so we're not adding any new services. It's on County Road 37. I did talk to him and I told him that we would need a septic tanks location, and pardon?
I found both.
You
septic
found them?
tanks, and
Okay.
I got the measurements for them.
All right, so that will show up on the final survey also. The existing structures will show everything is conforming in terms of setbacks. And as far as I can see, there are no other issues.
And the ZBA granted. approval
ZBA
to create this, so,
granted the
Yeah,
variance, so
so it's all,
it's an area variance.
right.
And so once we see a final, it will have the exact acreage, of the two new lots. The dimensions, a nice neat map, not quite as busy as this old one, that has all that old stuff on it. That I included in your packet for you.
Who was Thomas Dutton? Was that?
Who?
I said, the previous, this is way back.
He's
the
Gary's
survey-
older brother.
Oh, really?
Dutton, yeah,
He retired approximately 2000.
Oh,
yeah, that's
I'd never
Gary's
heard of
brother,
him.
so the Duttons have been
He's
doing
on-
surveys
he's on the phone, yeah.
for
yeah.
a long time. Gary submits things to our planning board often
Yeah.
for survey maps. I guess if you have any questions for Chris, or Chris, if you have anything you need to know.
Only question of curiosity is that you bought the land with the property line running through the house.
Hoping that this would work out.
Hoping.
Okay.
And the only other detail is on this map, it shows a trailer in the middle of the lower lot. He said that's not there anymore.
trailers.
That's not there, so
They can
it's
be
it's a
moved,
non-issue. So we don't have two principal uses on a
Right.
single lot, because that trailer's not there.
And I
Big
just,
tractor, we can move it.
I just had a question too. How did it come to be that that line got through a house there?
I don't think anybody knows.
Okay.
Chris kind of investigated. The previous owner obviously owned both properties, so
Heard he was a character.
it never was an issue.
You know the places that
Okay.
you're working on. Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion? I tried to put on this map also, just the road frontages are gonna be about 150 feet for both properties. So that's below the minimum required of 250, but that was part of the zoning variance.
This was a new one for you, wasn't it, Ted? This type of thing.
Well, he came in with this map and got so much junk on it. I couldn't figure it out, so
Well,
Like I
did a
said, I
fine job.
tried to make it look good there, and I said, that's still confusing.
Did a fine job.
Okay. Any other questions? Like I said, there are no new services, no new buildings, it's just the land area variance. Redrawing lot lines, basically. So if there are no issues, I would entertain a motion to grant preliminary approval. Okay, Dwight, second.
I'll second.
Caroline, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good. So at that point, we will move to the environmental quality review form that's been
I ju-
filled out. Oh,
Just a quick question.
yes,
I just looked at. Does CEO get to sign that?
he received, no, he doesn't have to sign.
They don't have to. I just saw the blank and I went. they
He
have to
can
sign.
receive applications, but he seldom,
Okay.
he doesn't normally because
Okay.
he wants us to review it and make sure
got it.
we're okay. Receiving it, that the application is ready to be submitted. So he can, but he doesn't
I
very
got it.
often.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. So we have the environmental assessment form. It's a standard old form. A lot of the things are not applicable here. The action is redraw property lines. Chris Clark is the owner. Again, the property that's being subdivided is the 6932 that's being subdivided. 6944 is receiving. Okay, and that's what I put on here, this little dash mark to show that this property is gonna be annexed to that property.
Good job on this, Chris.
So anything on the first
Very self-explanatory.
page, it's 3 acres approximately, rural, residential. Any other questions on question 1 through 20 of part 1? Good, okay, given that, we'll move to part 2. And here's where we as a board have to answer these questions. Will they have an impact or not? So someone to read those? Thank you, Birch.
Will the proposed action create a material conflict with the adopted land plan or zoning map? Proposed action result in- Will the proposed action result in change in the use or intensity of use of land? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of existing community? No. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that caused establishment of a critical environmental area? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkway? No. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No. Will the proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies, public-private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources, e.g. wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, flora, and fauna? No. Will the proposed action result in the increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or draining problems? No. Will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No.
Okay. So those are all no. signifying there's no real concern or impact. So part three is we have to by motion declare either positive or negative environmental impact on this project.
I'll make a motion that the part two provisions, no negative environmental impact are identified.
Okay, is there a second? Dwight, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Thank you. So no environmental issues. At this point, we need to close the public hearing by motion. Okay,
second.
Caroline, thank you, and Caitlin, second. Any further discussion on that? All right, all in favor of closing the hearing? Aye. Opposed? Okay. So at this point, we can grant final approval upon, based on the condition that Chris submits the survey maps that are substantially equivalent to what's been approved tonight and authorize me to sign them when they're approved, or we can wait. So it's up to you. Typically, you give me the, you know,
I'll make a motion, we approve and give you the option of, or
approve on the condition of,
condition of maps being submitted, correct maps being submitted.
good,
I'll
And
second.
you're approved.
okay. And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. So approval's given, just submit the final survey map. It's a good idea to let me see, you know, one copy of it. Before you have the full set done, and then if it's okay, you'll need 3 paper copies and 1 Mylar copy. And get with me and I'll stamp and sign them, and then town will keep 1, and the other 3 go to the county for recording. Okay, so by email or phone, let me know when you're ready with that. There is no timeline, as long as you want to do that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Chris. And Jared, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. That takes care of that one. All right. Last privilege of the floor, on the table in front of you are Supervisor Chris Vestolo said that the county's looking at possibly getting some money to improve the broadband internet coverage for the town. And I admit this is pretty small, but this is all he gave me. He wanted us to especially look at it, and if you were aware, the little red dots, I guess, are areas identified in the town where there's not broadband availability. And the county's going to try to act and improve that coverage. So you can look it over. If you have anything, feed it back directly to Chris Vestola. Christopher. Yes, I keep saying Christopher. We just got cable that came down our road last year. So now I haven't signed up for it, but we have it.
Is it reliable?
I don't know. Haven't signed up for it.
You haven't signed up.
Probably that Spectrum.
I'm happy with our Frontier DSL.
I would imagine.
Does everything I needed. Oh, really?
Huh?
Yeah,
You're not happy with it?
No, I'm very happy with it, other than the price.
Oh,
Really?
I don't have it. I wouldn't pay $50-$60 to watch TV. It's all garbage anyways. I don't watch
Really?
TV. It's junk.
Oh, what do we-
Yeah. I would
It's
not.
very,
junk.
very, it's
Oh.
not
No.
good, it's very.
I don't have a computer, so I haven't hooked up to nothing.
Oh, that's right. You don't
I
have to
pay
worry.
No.
$56 a month for the landline.
Yeah.
Which, but
So
when we moved here, we didn't have DSL, and so within the past 10 years, they put the DSL in, so I would assume the lines should be okay, at least for a while.
Yeah.
But I've
I
had-
bet you pay, so you've got all that with Spectrum? I'll bet it's what, $80-$90, $100 a month more?
I have everything with Spectrum, so
Okay.
it's 200.
Yeah,
Oh.
you got TV and cell phone.
And internet, yeah.
I never had a mortgage payment, $200.
What was that, Dwight?
Tell Steve to come down.
Okay. And
Oh,
I'm not sure the path
God.
forward here, but he'd like some input if you have any.
So where the red dots are, it isn't, I mean, there are very few red dots.
I know
Yeah,
it.
there are not,
And the like purplish.
Yeah.
Light color, that box.
See
is
this
whole
purple?
Area.
Oh,
it boxes in.
got it.
This is not an act, the red dots and then. Because on Tibbles Road, between Ross Road. And Candace Hill Road. Everything's served up until the line, so there's two red dots in the group, so,
Oh, really? Okay, on Tibbles Road.
yeah, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's more the outlines.
Yeah, okay.
Right, and this is the area that you're in, right, Birch? This
Yeah.
purple area here on the south end of Canadice Hill,
Got
forgotten part, the dirt road.
dirt road, it won't be paved until 2025 and 2026. Allegedly.
Oh,
Is it going to be?
Yeah, they have it in the plan, but the plan
Keeps moving out, right? Okay. All right. Anything else that anyone wants to bring up? Motion
Motion to
to adjourn?
I second.
All in favor? Aye, opposed? Thanks, everyone.
Good meeting, Ted. Good
Mike,
meeting.
didn't you wanna talk about your training? Is that
I
too
did
late?
mention it to Ted.
Yeah.
but, it was just something.
Go ahead.
Short-term rental. And
See that?